This is Dedrick Dodge, two-time Super Bowl champion. You're listening to Matt and Dexter on The Grueling Truth.
Garoppolo, deep down the middle, that's a lift-off. Shanahan and Jimmy, Bill in Montana. Speaking for the Empire, salute from Santana. Yeah, handoff, down the middle. Beast through the D-line and made him look brittle. Out of nowhere, Sherman in the corner. 60 other way, huh? Kings of California. Every breath, tribute to the greatest. Dwight Clark in our heart since the catch when he made it.
As we build, brick by brick, no imitation, just stay patient while we repping the numbers. We are the 49ers. Who are we? We're the 49ers.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies, the future in sports medicine. Check that out at thegruelingtruth.com. I'm one of your co-hosts, Matt Andrew Scavage, and I'd like to welcome in the other co-hosts for the show, former 49ers running back, Super Bowl 29 champion, Dexter Carter.
Good to be with you again, Matt, and looking forward to this 2019 season. Optimism is on edge, and looking forward to seeing what the 49ers do in this first game against Tampa.
Definitely. It's the long ocean of time between the offseason and the regular season is finally coming to a close. The NFL season is about to start, and we are looking down the barrel at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So just a quick recap. Preseason was interesting. As always, the most important element of preseason is the evaluation of players as the front office and the coaching staff attempts to get the best 53 players on the roster. But I'll say this, it was nice to watch 3 victories out of 4. And it was good to see a lot of the players playing well in the preseason.
Absolutely. When you're playing approximately 90-plus players and trying to dwindle it down to 53, and knowing that you're going to have some players held out, whether it's D Ford, because of his, knee issue, not necessarily keep him out for the season, but, just more maintenance and on a watch more than anything. You have guys I think probably is going to fill the last 10 spots or so on that roster. So if they don't play, nobody's going to fret, but it brings interest to that first game when everybody is going to play. And you're looking forward to Garoppolo, seeing if he can come back to the way he played when he first came to the 49ers. So it's a lot of things that are unknown, but it's not just the 49ers, it's all teams, because nobody's going to play their guys, especially in today's time, when guys can get hurt. They're not going to play them very much or play them at all. So there's optimism because you did win 3 games, and a lot of guys really, you saw things that you probably wouldn't have seen in younger guys or guys that needed to show that they're worthy of this 53-man roster. So it gives great interest to this first game coming up.
Yeah, I think the most my heart pounded was probably during the first half of that Kansas City game. Got most of the starters out there. Jimmy Garoppolo came off a not very good performance against Denver, but he and the starters played well, and we saw some of the glimpses of the great possibilities for this offense, especially with Matt Breida when he split out wide and went on a deep wheel route for a touchdown.
Absolutely, and those are the kind of things all the backs can do.
Yes.
And why not take advantage of either a linebacker or safety on those guys? We did that with me. I remember distinctly against Philadelphia, wheel route. I did it at Florida State. So, I wasn't the only one that can do it. Any back that is up against a guy skillfully that he should be faster than, those things can happen. You just got to strategically throw it into the game plan at specific times. And when you get them sleeping a little bit, but regardless, sleeping or not, a linebacker or a safety should not stick with the running back. So it was great to see them do that with Matt, just to put it out there that, one, it can be done. So I think they should do more flat routes, wheel routes, halfback option routes against those backers, especially on third downs, 3rd and 3 or 4 yards. I think those are third down conversion type plays that play shows that, hey, we can do that when we choose to do it.
Yep, exactly. So the nice thing about Kyle Shanahan's scheme is he does a lot of run-heavy plays, to try to keep the defense looking for the run. And then he's got the personnel to take advantage of a base defense and gets those guys out to create mismatches. And that's what they can do with Matt Breida, with Kyle Juszczyk, with Tevin Coleman. So I hope to see a lot of that during the course of the season.
Yes, and that goes right into the playbook in which Kyle Shanahan has done. He's just got the players, or he's got more of the type players that he's wanted, that he had at Atlanta. So hopefully, this is the season that the offense that we know Kyle Shanahan to have in the past, hopefully it will come to fruition this year.
Yep. So let's get into just a little bit of the latest news. The 53-man roster is official. Most everything went as well as we thought. There were a couple of surprises, like carrying 4 tight ends and releasing preseason standout defensive end DeMontre Moore. But all in all, the roster looks pretty good heading into week 1. They're relatively healthy. Most notably, Nick Bosa has been practicing. He is looking to play on Sunday, which is really, really good news because he's going to be important to that team. And then also cornerback health. Jason Verrett and nickel corner Kwan Williams are back at practice. They should both be a go on Sunday, so we should see a pretty full complement of the offense and the defense in Sunday's game.
Absolutely. I think just the fact that Verrett is healthy, and I remember when he first went to San Diego before he got hurt, the potential he showed. So I think, one, he's going to develop into a much, much better player, than I think many people project. And I think Sherman's going to be back to his Seattle days, where he was healthy and he was known as one of the top 5, if not top 3 corners in the league. And I really believe he still got it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, doing at the beginning of the season, and first round draft pick. I think, again, he probably could have played a little bit in the last maybe 1 or 2 games, but the preseason. But why do that when, one, we know projectively what he can do? That's why he was drafted where he was. So I think, one, he just needs to come out and just play the way that he's capable of playing. And I think he can develop into a great young talent there at that defensive end spot.
Yeah. So I think you definitely hit the nail on the head. I mean, the cornerback health is going to be they should look a lot better in the secondary, and with Bosa on that defensive line, they finally have some pressure coming off the edge. So, as we get into this Tampa preview, one of the things that they say about Tampa Bay is, you read, and if you watch them at all in the preseason, or especially if you watched them last year, the offensive line is shaky at best in Tampa Bay, and I think they're going to have problems with Dee Ford on one side, Nick Bosa on the other, DeForest Buckner coming up the middle, and then you've also got Eric Armstead and Solomon Thomas. So to me, that's going to be the key of this game, is getting after Jameis Winston.
Absolutely. And again, that defensive line that we've talked about for a few years, the Armsteads, all those guys up front, this is their year. I mean, they're young, but they're talented, and somewhat based on the years they've been in the league, they're experienced. So they have got to now stop saying what they're going to be and become what everybody projected them to be. And I think they can. I really do. If this line stays healthy, I really believe it's going to make our secondary look even much better than I believe they're going to be. Because when that pressure, gets put on Winston in this first game, I think that ball is going to come out before he wants it to come out. I think the secondary is going to be on those receivers as quickly as that ball needs to come out. They're going to be covered, I believe. And I think this is a chance for this defensive line to not only get pressures, but get maybe a few sacks in this game. So we'll see what happens.
Right. So if you were going to give 1 or 2 keys to the game for the 49ers to win the game, what would be a couple of your keys to the game?
Well, I think the key thing, I'm always an offensive guy, but I also know defense wins games. But I know Arians, who has Byron Leftwich, brought him over from Arizona as the young offensive coordinator that I think is developing, to be a great coach here in the near future. And he has really, created a great relationship with Jameis Winston, who really needed it. He needed a staff that believed in him, that gave him the reins to that offense and say, hey, we still believe in you. You're still a great young quarterback. So, hey, let's get this thing done. And they've gained confidence together, but as you mentioned, that offensive line is still kind of shaky. So we're going to see if this shaky offensive line can hold out this potentially really good defensive line of the 49ers. And I don't think they can. So I think Tampa is going to be in trouble. I don't think they're going to be able to protect Jameis Winston. It doesn't mean that he can't still play. I believe he can still play, but I think he needs to be protected. But I don't think this game he's going to be protected. I think the defensive line is going to get to him. And I think the secondary, I believe is going to at least pick off one or two because of that pressure.
All right, so you've got the defense pretty much being one of the keys to the game, getting pressure, forcing sacks, and potentially a couple of turnovers. I would agree with that. I think it will come down to how the 49ers play on defense. Are they going to let Mike Evans and Chris Godwin beat them? Are they going to let Tampa Bay run the ball? If they're able to really get after Jameis Winston and get any kind of a lead, to kind of take away the running game, I agree. I think the defense is going to be the number one key. And then for me, I would also add the 49ers need to run the ball well. They Matt Breida and Tevin Coleman need to have a lot of touches, take the pressure off Jimmy Garoppolo. Don't put Jimmy Garoppolo in 3rd and 15 consistently and force him to constantly have to bail the offense out. If they can control the line of scrimmage and run the football, the 49ers offense should be very good.
And I think what you said will happen. I think we've got, yes, we're missing McKinnon, which, man, I am sad.
That's a bummer. That's such a bummer.
It's a bummer. I've been looking forward to him using his ability. I think based on his skill set, he's one of the top 3 or 4 backs of his stature in the league. But since he's not there, we're fortunate still to have Breida, and Coleman. I think they fit the offense that the 49ers want to run. And I think, what the offensive line has shown in the last year, that they're very well capable of getting that running game going and protecting Garoppolo. So I really believe this is a game the 49ers is theirs to lose. It's there, you know what I'm saying? I think I'm saying it the right way.
Yeah.
They should go out, and if they execute with what we know Kyle Shanahan play calling is, I think the running game is going to establish itself, and I think that's going to open up, the passing game down the field, because they're going to have to put possibly 7 in the box to maybe stop that stretch game, stop the game in between the tackles. And the receivers, we hadn't talked about them, but we will. I mean, the potential of what this group is, to me, is one of the top 4 or 5 receiving groups in the league. So if everybody stays healthy and the play calling is what I think it will be based on the history of Shanahan with the guys that he has compiled, I think they just need to go out and execute. And I think they'll be successful in doing it.
Yeah, you talked about the wide receivers, and they don't get a lot of love in the media. I think just largely because it's an unknown.
It's an unknown.
They've got a lot of young guys, but Marquise Goodwin is healthy. If he's out there, and that was really one of the problems last year. People want to point to the Jimmy Garoppolo's numbers those first 3 weeks. They were in some pretty tough spots in Minnesota, in Kansas City, and on the first drive of the first game last year, they lost Marquise Goodwin for several weeks with a quad injury. Marquise Goodwin was huge when Garoppolo was good down that stretch at the end of 2017. If he's out there, that's going to be big. Dante Pettis was hurt early in the season last year. He's healthy, and now they've got Deebo Samuel. With those 3 guys out there, plus George Kittle, and all of the firepower in the backfield, that's a very deep offensive squad. And if Jimmy Garoppolo has protection, he's going to find an open man.
Absolutely. Kittle's is key in this offense. Goodwin is key, because when Goodwin can take the top off of a defense, and they have to respect that. And you got Kittle, who can also go deep on those corner routes, those seam routes, but also those intermediate routes. They got to account for him in that 10 to 15 yard area, across the entire field, right, left, middle of the field. The safety has to account for him. The linebackers have to account for him, and that's going to get, these young guys hurt and those guys out on those edges, and it's going to get going deep. So I think there's areas that in every defense, no matter who you are, that's void that you can take advantages of. And I think they've got the talent to really take advantage of each one of those areas, to just dissect that defense. Garoppolo's just got to, feel protected by that offensive line. The running game, is going to help him sit back in that pocket, move in, up in that pocket, and be patient, and if he takes off running this time, go down or go out of bounds.
I really believe he will.
Yeah. I think he's convinced himself that, hey, live to play the next play, and it's up to the backs to try to get that extra yard if called for. I think backs also need to be smart, because there's time plays are over. You live to play the next play, especially, understand the down and distance. Unless it is 1 yard to go and it's fourth and a yard or third and a yard, and you want to convert, you got to dip your shoulder and go. But if you're a quarterback, you know what you do? Hey, you get out of bounds. Hey, we either go for it or we punt it or we kick the field goal. But you don't go trying to make a miraculous play and really change the landscape of the entire team, because when he got hurt, it changed the landscape of the entire 49er team. But he's back now, and I think that, again, all the areas we pointed at that are better this year, better, not better backs, but added an addition to the backfield with Coleman. I just think that, man, Kittles is better. This is potentially can be a really, really exciting 49er team.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that the other thing that is going to become very important is they just can't have a lot of penalties, because the penalties really have prevented them from doing a lot. And in a situation like this where they're finally back, everybody's out there, Jimmy Garoppolo is building confidence, being able to make some big plays without having them called back on penalties and getting that early lead is really going to be crucial.
Yeah, I think regardless of what level of football you play on, no matter what level you coach on, I always look at things as, we're playing a team equally or better than us. What's going to set the difference? What's going to separate us? Well, it's penalties. It's special teams. Is it going to win the game for you, or is it going to lose the game for you? So those things are equally important no matter what year it is in football. So they just got to go out and be confident in what they're doing. The snap count is given to you in the huddle. Be patient, and get off on the snap. That's just what it is, So I think you never know until, the whistle is blown. But to me, especially during the preseason, if you can't be disciplined enough to minimize the penalties that you have on a team, and a coach can't get it under control, then then you know what, the coach has to give an account for it, and the players need to give an account. And sometimes if it's preseason and you do it enough, you just won't have a job. So to me, yes, you're right, those are keys, but come on, that's the simplest things that you can control. It's not many things you can control once that whistle is blown. But when it comes to offside penalties, encroachment penalties, those things you can control. Now, every now and then, I coach, whether you're a receiver or a special teams player or an offensive line, holding, there comes a point in the game, everybody holds. You just got to know when to hold and when to release, and, move your hips and your feet to get in position to reconnect. You know what I'm saying? Regrab. But once the clothing starts to pull away, when a guy changes directions, you got to let go. So those kind of things going to happen every now and then, but hey, you got talented players on both sides. Hey, you got to hold to create an even playing field, but you got to know when to let go and when to engage.
Yeah, you said it. Penalties, those are the things that you can control. So hopefully we will not see a lot of those. They had that really bad first week of preseason where they had like 218 yards of penalties, but it really got better as the preseason went on. Penalties got less and less and less. So hopefully that's going to carry over into the regular season, because we don't want to see penalties derail the offense or even keep the defense on the field longer than it needs to be. So all in all, I think the Niners have a lot of advantages here all over the place. They should be able to stop the run. They should be able to get after Jameis Winston, and they should be able to score enough points. I just hope the offense will play within itself. Don't take too many chances and let Tampa Bay make the mistakes. So we're going to see a lot of things. It's week 1, Sunday, September 8th. We're going to see the 49ers play Tampa Bay at Raymond James Stadium. And right now, the spread is even. They're looking at this as anybody's game. And so it's the Niners. It is the Niners' game to lose. They control. I think they control their own destiny in this game and what can go on.
Yes, with these two teams, I can see, it being even. I can see that because nobody, knows the unknown.
Right.
But I'm going to believe in Shanahan. I'm going to believe in two things. One, that Shanahan's offense is going to score 30 points. And the defense has developed enough on the front end and the back end to, one, stop them from scoring 30 points.
Yes.
But what I hope doesn't happen is what happened to my Seminoles this weekend, where they scored 30 points, and 30 points, unless you're in the Big 12, should win you a game. But then the defense gave up more than 30 points. Then that's a problem. So the defense has got to grow up. The defense has got to show that, one, we're going to be one of the top defenses in the NFC. And if that is so, then I think the 30-plus points for the offense will be good enough.
Yep, I'm right there with you. If the Niners are able to score 30 points on offense, there's really no way they should lose. I think they should be able to score 21-24 and still come up with a win with this defense out there. So hopefully these are the things that will happen.
Absolutely, and we'll all see come Sunday. It's going to be a exciting time just in the NFL for both teams to try to Tampa's coming into a new era, trying to breathe life back into that organization. So they got a lot of things to be optimistic about too. But the 49ers, in my opinion, are a step ahead. The coach has been there for 5+ years. The defense is where it needs to be with a healthy and more experienced, more talented secondary. Defensive line, literally, we keep saying it, in my opinion, got to be one of the top as they move through this season, one of the tops in the league, and they need to perform like it. And if they do, I think Garoppolo, he's got enough talent around him to get the ball downfield, get the ball to the intermediate routes, and tight end, all 3 receiver positions. I think they're so talented. I think it's going to be very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out.
So I'm pretty much right there with you. I think we're seeing a lot of the same things. We are both very optimistic that the 49ers can get this win. And so after Sunday's game, we will be back with you next week to recap what happened. Hopefully we're talking about a 49er win, and we will see what happens. Hopefully we get off to a good start.
Absolutely. Great being with you again, Matt, and being optimistic about the start of this here season. Just is different than last year. We have reason for optimism. Again, I think if guys can stay healthy, I trust Kyle Shanahan. Guys just got to go out and execute, play relaxed. They all have jobs right now, so they have reason to be optimistic, relaxed, and confident. Just go out there and do what they've practiced all preseason to do. Be the men that they are expected to be, players they're expected to be, and expect it to be a tough battle, because it will. It's the NFL, so it's going to be tough. But execute, and if both teams execute, I just think the 49ers has, in my opinion, the best talent to get it done.
So there you have it, folks. I think that's where we're going to end the show for today. I think we're all feeling pretty good. So we're going to come back next week and kind of recap what happened. And so we want to thank everybody for joining us. Check out the gruelingtruth.com website, and be sure to tune in with us next week as we recap this game. So for Dexter Carter, I am Matt Andrew Scavage. You've been listening to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, where the legends speak.